If you're putting reverb on individual tracks, I'm going to ask you to stop doing that just for a moment and give this a shot instead. Create a send with a reverb on it and funnel everything into that you want to have reverb. It's pretty easy to set up. All you're going to want to do is go in your DAW, create the send, and then add a reverb plugin onto that send. Make sure the wet is set to 100%. And then on each individual track, adjust how much you want going into that send based off of what your needs are. So I got the original mix session open for my song Digital Gods, and we've just got 2 reverb sends right here. A short reverb, a long reverb. In my DAW, it's going to be different in yours. It's just going to be, for mine, insert track, and you're going to want to create a send track, and then you just add your reverb. We're not going to do that right now. I've already got it created, but it should be very simple in your DAW. We're just going to focus on the short reverb. I'm going to play the drums for you. And we're going to go down to these individual tracks. We'll start with the room. In my DAW, we select our send right here, and we just send it. You can hear that we're getting that reverb. Exaggeration, but this is so you can hear what's going on. If we go up to the top, we solo it, and we've just got all the reverb on there. It's isolated and it's not affecting the dry signal. Now, putting reverb directly on a track is perfectly acceptable. Let's get that out of the way. There's nothing wrong with doing that. So why would we want to do this? There's a few benefits, and I'm going to save the best for last. One of the great things of using a send is it can greatly reduce the amount of plugins you have on your project. Depending on how much you rely on reverb, if you've got reverb on like every other track, this will like pretty much get rid of a ton of plugins, and it's also going to give your CPU a little bit more headroom, which for some people, it's not a big deal. Reverb doesn't take up a huge amount of processing power. But on those really dense tracks, just getting a little bit more headroom on your CPU is really nice, especially as the plugins stack up as you're mixing and getting towards the end. Your dry signal is no longer going to be altered. When you put a reverb directly on a track, it kind of sets the track a little bit further back in the mix. Now, sometimes you want that. It's a nice little benefit, but a lot of times it's a bit of a hindrance. With a reverb send, your dry track is unaffected. So as we're sending more of that track into the send, we're just getting additional reverb. The dry signal is unaffected, which is a very nice benefit depending on what you're going for. Here's the biggest benefit though. Each reverb send you use, you can have multiple reverb sends, by the way. You're creating like a different location, and you're sending everything into one location. This is really the secret to a cohesive atmosphere. Everything that you're putting into that reverb send is going to sound like it was recorded in that location. This is super helpful when you have tracks that were recorded in different locations. So the biggest one is going to be vocalists. There's often times where you collaborate, or you have a vocalist record in one studio, and then the other vocalist records in another, and now you've kind of got that disconnect. When you send them to this reverb, it's going to really bridge the gap, especially if you did your EQ moves right, because every room has a bit of a different EQ curve to it, so as long as you massaged those out as best as you could, when you send it all into one reverb, that really solidifies everything. Or in another case where I had a real violinist record, and I did some sample reinforcement, so I had like some orchestral samples underneath a real violin recording, and sending that all into the same reverb really solidified everything, made it sound like it was like one cohesive kind of like orchestral part. This is super huge, a very big benefit when you are recording in different studios and you want everything to sound like it was recorded in the same area and not get that disconnect that you might get. So here's what creating that cohesive environment atmosphere sounds like. We got the ending to my song. We've got pretty much everything going into this long reverb. This is just the reverb, but you can hear it all sounds like it's in the same location, like it's in the same place. And this is really how you can make everything sound glued together and really cohesive. I love it. It's such a cool thing to do with reverb. Something else a little bit off topic is you can use delay sends. Now, this is where you would pretty much do the same thing, just with a delay. Interestingly enough, I'm not a fan of this. I prefer to have my delays directly on my tracks, or usually on a bus, and then have that sent into the reverb, because the delay doesn't hit the reverb, and it kind of sounds weird to me when the delay and the reverb are kind of disconnected. But something else I want to bring up, you don't have to do this. If you like the reverb on the individual track, That's totally fine. It's the same thing with me with my delays. I like the delays on the individual track or the buses. But if you are looking for that cohesive sound, that cohesive environment, that's where the reverb sends are going to really help you out. And it's also going to give you that extra, CPU headroom boost that you can get. So it's nice to do. You don't have to do it though. I definitely think everyone should know how to do this though. This is something that has been a staple on mixes for years now. Hopefully you found this video helpful, reverb sends. Have you used them before? Are you going to try using them? Definitely leave your comments down below. And if you did enjoy the video, you got some value out of it, a like goes a long way. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I do hope to see you in the next video.